I've been fixing the rock chips, the rot, the rust. I've been fixing all the, this is what we're doing today. I've been fixing all the pieces here. I'm trying to get this truck together. It's a 2003. It's got 300,000 miles on it. And trying to get it together, do the body work, probably paint it. And my air compressor don't keep up. I had that little hodgepodge air compressor, 2 tanks on top of each other, and it worked for doing mechanical work. But it's not keeping up with the DA sander or the air file. This is what it looked like. There's a little 3-horse, 2 tanks. Had a little pipe nipple in between them. Putting them together. Found both of them in the trash. So there's a little welder there. So this had to go. This wasn't keeping up. It was running day and night and day and night. Well, not day and night, all day long for the job. So then I bought this thing used off Craigslist. That's my new data plate. That's the original. I think it's a 2010 Campbell House Field. Didn't have all this extra stuff on it. I plugged it in. I started using it. It was loud as hell. Okay, compressors are loud. You deal with it. Nah, this one shook the house. After a while of using the DA sander, I had water coming out of the DA sander. Now originally, I used 2 of these. The thing was set up normally. I used 2 coalescing water and air filters, and they would both fill up. I had one over here, one on the other side of the garage where the hose reel is, and water was coming out of the DA sander. It was the first time I used it. I was like, I want to paint that thing. Can't do that. So I started looking into upgrades. First thing I got is this Conrader Valves Tank Mate. And these are the instructions on how to put it in, but Conrader Valves Tank Mate. They make all different types of valves, unloader valves, check valves, and everything. So this went on the bottom of the tank. I'll show you that in a second. And to quiet it down, we installed an X-Air reclassifier. It's 2 different mufflers on the intake. It's 2 different mufflers. There's one inside and one outside. It's also got it catches the oil that would come back in towards the filter on the intake side. I'll show you that too. So then I got this, I guess 3-stage. Can't get a real good shot at it, but the 3-stage regulator, 3-stage filter regulator. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I put a copper sponge in there, try and get more surface area to filter the water out. And then in this one, I put, you saw the blue beads, I put some silica gel, rechargeable silica gel. So that's been working. Here's the outlet of the tank. It's a pressure relief valve. Bent this piece up, got a little dented, came in, put like a 4-inch valve up top. This is that X-Air reclassifier unit. I have this long nipple because, as you can see, the outer shell is plastic. It can't be more than 140 degrees. Top head of this thing gets hot. So we came out we go down into the cooler I had built. I'm going to insert the video here to show you what this is about. The 12-volt fan, the shroud, the whole nine. It's two coolers in one, so there's just kind of like a horseshoe right here. Here's more tubing. I used a swage kit, flared it out, comes into here. This is an automatic drain, so when it fills up with water and the pressure relief kicks off, I'll explain everything. Comes up, little support, then back into the tank. So here's your unloader. The unloader comes up into the pressure switch. The pressure switch is teed, goes all the way down to the conrater. That's an automatic blow-off valve. When the compressor starts and stops, that'll let a little air out of the valve. This is a manual dump I had put on. That's a manual dump. You can see I put sound mat insulation. This is like 4mm stuff, so this thing doesn't ring. I tried to make it insulated, make it as quiet as possible. Down here, this is just for sound isolation because this thing was rattling against the bottom of the tank. But this larger pipe is the drain, is the oil drain, should be done, for the air compressor. So this fan is a 12-volt 80-watt fan, and I have I believe that's a 400-watt 12-volt power supply, and it is tied into this junction box, and it only comes on when the compressor comes on. I was thinking of getting a timer so this thing stays on for like an extra 30 seconds, but so far so good. I ran that DA sander for a good half hour straight yesterday. This compressor did not kick off. So we have our pressure switch here. You can see we got two wires. We got one to the switch, one to the motor. We also have them tied into this junction box. This 1900 box has a third wire that goes over to the 12-volt power supply. They are both getting fed. There's a relay in there, and I will show you, comes directly out of the panel. The relay is not just to take the stress of the amperage of the motor off of the pressure switch, because they go bad all the time. But the relay is to help me remotely switch the compressor. So this is the lights in the garage. This is the compressor. The compressor's over there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. So I hope this comes out good. I made a little schematic. Everything starts at your breaker panel. Comes over, goes into your contact. A contact is just a giant switch. The coil is what pulls the contactor in. So power comes in, line, get your load going out to your motor of the compressor. You also have your 220 to 12-volt power supply for the cooler. This coil is activated by 120 volts. So I have the neutral wire from the panel going to the coil. The coil jumped over to the pressure switch. The pressure switch going to the toggle switch on the wall, and the wall switch is fed from the hot side of 120 volts. That's its own breaker. That's its own breaker. So yeah, this is how I did it. Don't burn your house down. Don't blame me. And it's how I did it. Get you some better shots of the compressor here. If I can make a recommendation, is to put the wrap on while you have it out in the open and your compressor's not shoved into the corner. It makes it a lot easier. You get everything lined up nice and smooth. But yeah, so this is my install. It's a the sun, got some sun glare there. It's a big radiator. Got these from work. This side doesn't even get hot. At least not yet. This side gets warm. I know it's pushing against the back of the door, but it's not that bad. And this pipe doesn't get warm. And when this thing blows off, it doesn't, it hasn't had any water yet. I'm wondering when that'll start. Because this is room temperature, or this is, outside air temperature. Is the water filling up in here? But this is my setup. Hopefully it lasts. I drilled that hole in the leg. It didn't come like that. And I guess the other side of that Conrader tank drain, automatic tank drain. It's operated off the pressure relief. I didn't believe it when I read it online, but it works pretty good. So we got 2 coils. Found them on the job. I looped it. I got a, what do they call that? Like a swage? Spin, not a swage. They call that something. Yeah, swage. So I just made that a little bigger so I could solder that on. The same size. 12 volt fan. 12 volt 80 watt fan. 10 inch. I made a little shroud. I know I got these bootleg. There's no good way to. This is some kind of real brittle shit. This thing was like $14 on eBay. Some real brittle shit. When I drilled through it, it cracked. So I made a little shroud. And I have a 12 volt power supply hooked up to it. We'll see what it does. Kind of loud. But I think that's going to do the job. I think that's going to do the job. Okay, boys and girls, I know it kind of looks like Frankenstein, but here's my 60-gallon compressor. Give a little explanation here. It takes a little long to bleed out all the air because it's filled up in here, in between there and the check valve. Let's open that up a little bit. That was the tank drain. I know you're not going to get volume, you're not going to be able to hear how loud or quiet it is over the on YouTube, so just wanted to get a video of it running. That's mine. Good luck with yours.